The national media spent the last 24 hours declaring that Kalen DeBoer lost his grip on the SEC. They pointed at Indiana. They pointed at the five-star talent that slipped away. In Auburn, Hugh Freeze smiled, convinced that the balance of power in the state had finally shifted. But while the entire country was staring at the distraction, a silent strike was already being executed in the shadows of Tuscaloosa. Alabama wasn't losing. They were waiting for the perfect moment to take back what was always theirs. Before we break down this hidden operation, subscribe to the channel right now and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Every masterstroke in the brutal world of college football recruiting requires a massive distraction. To the untrained eye, losing a highly rated five-star target to a program like Indiana looks like a catastrophic failure for the Crimson Tide. The national headlines screamed it, the national analysts debated it, the message boards in Auburn lit up with celebration, convinced that Kalen DeBoer was out of his depth. But in modern college football, tracking the loudest headlines is a fool's game. To see the truth, you have to track the shadows. You have to ask yourself why a coaching staff known for historic offensive efficiency and meticulous planning would suddenly let the national media control the narrative. The truth is, they wanted the noise. They needed the entire country looking east while they were preparing to drop a bomb right in their own backyard. Look closely at the timeline of events that unfolded over the last 48 hours. While the football world watched a televised commitment ceremony, absolute radio silence fell over the town of Selma, Alabama. This wasn't accidental. For weeks, the media assumed Alabama was putting all its resources into out-of-state battles, creating a false sense of security across the state line. For Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers, June was a month of absolute triumph. They believed they had permanently altered the recruiting landscape by securing the verbal commitment of the most dominant high school receiver in the country. They thought they had closed the borders. They thought the post-Saban vulnerability was real, and they celebrated as if the war was already won. But certain anomalies cannot be sustained when bloodlines and destiny collide. Enter Cedrick Simmons, 2,192 yards, 20 touchdowns, 106 receptions. These aren't just great high school numbers. This is the most lethal, record-breaking single season in the entire history of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Simmons did what no other player in the state had ever accomplished, and he did it with a raw combination of vertical speed and elite route running that translates directly to the Saturdays of the SEC. Auburn believed his verbal commitment meant his loyalty was sealed. They ignored the underlying reality that Simmons grew up in a household where crimson runs deep through the family tree. His brief alignment with the Tigers wasn't a permanent choice. It was a temporary placeholder in a chaotic summer. Kalen DeBoer didn't panic when the media attacked his roster-building strategy. He didn't issue desperate statements or rush into erratic counteroffers. He waited. He waited for Auburn to lower their guard, to stop recruiting alternative options at the position, and to fully buy into their own hype. The moment the rival program felt completely safe, the trap was sprung with absolute clinical precision. Reports are now quietly surfacing of late-night operations, unpublicized visits, and intensive film sessions between Deboer'S staff and the Simmons family. Alabama didn't need to offer a chaotic, desperate sales pitch filled with empty promises. They offered a technical blueprint. They showed him exactly how a receiver with his specific vertical threat becomes an immediate centerpiece in a system designed to stretch SEC defenses to their absolute breaking point. Within a matter of hours, the entire power dynamic of the state was rewritten without warning. The historic celebration in Auburn transformed overnight into a state of absolute public panic. The realization that their crown jewel, the absolute anchor of their future passing game, was walking away to join their biggest rival sent shockwaves through their entire athletic department. This wasn't just a normal flip. This was a calculated heist executed in total darkness. By the time Hugh Freeze realized what was happening behind the scenes, the paperwork was moving. The family had solidified their decision, and the state's most dangerous weapon was already on his way back to Tuscaloosa. This is where the entire narrative around the Crimson Tide completely flips on its head. The mainstream media wants you to believe that this was just another chaotic week in the transfer and recruiting portal landscape. A simple case of a teenager changing his mind at the last second. But when you look at the strategy, a completely different picture emerges. Alabama didn't stumble into this commitment by accident. By letting the national media obsess over other out-of-state storylines, DeBoer managed to keep the spotlight completely away from Selma. He allowed his rivals to feel victorious, to get comfortable, and to stop looking over their shoulders. The true protagonist of this story isn't the hype or the star ratings. It's the tactical patience of an elite coaching staff that willingly traded a brief negative headline for a long-term offensive cornerstone. The implications of this move will be felt across the SEC for the next 3 to 4 years. While other programs are spending millions on chaotic, short-term roster patches, Alabama is methodically constructing an offensive room that looks terrifyingly balanced. When you pair the record-breaking history of Simmons with the elite young talent already developing on campus, like Jordan Edmonds, and the incoming backfield depth, it becomes clear that the standard in Tuscaloosa hasn't dropped a single inch. The system is adapting. The recruiting machine is operating with a level of cold efficiency that rivals the best years of the past dynasty, and the rest of the conference is starting to realize that the silence from Deboer'S office is the most dangerous sound in college football. The official story told by national journalists will tell you that Alabama survived a rocky news cycle this week. The tape, the timing, and the structural reality of this roster tell a completely different story. Did Kalen DeBoer actually lose a minor recruiting battle, or did he intentionally clear the board to execute the most devastating in-state heist of the year? When you look at the raw numbers and the sheer panic exploding from the rival fan bases, the answer becomes undeniable. The truth is always buried deep within the fine print of how these deals are constructed. What do you think about this silent execution by the coaching staff? Did Auburn celebrate their dominance way too early? Or is this just the first step in a much larger, more aggressive blueprint from Kalen DeBoer to remind the entire SEC who still owns the state? Drop your exact thoughts, theories, and disagreements in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, activate your notifications, and like this video so you never miss the breakdown of the stories the mainstream media is too afraid to cover. Roll Tide.